look, he's back again. He's back again. Against the wishes of all those people that didn't want me to talk about this topic years ago. Slept in, woke up at 5:30. Starting to get light out. Now, I've been organizing all of my emails, I spent probably 3 hours doing it yesterday. There's so many. I received my email from Dr. Melba Ketchum, found it, printed off my NDA to protect her work, and I will get that signed and shipped off to her today. And then we're going to have a lengthy phone call too. It's going to be quite exciting, probably mind-blowing uppish. What else? The email shared a couple days ago from the scientists. The email that I read to you guys was actually a conversation between the two scientists, which was shared with me. And that's where that came from. And it's funny how I don't understand why, but I'm going to talk about it for a minute. Many people, for some strange reason, either get threatened or insulted at the thought of somebody putting a book out there. It's so bizarre to watch people and their reactions to various topics. But this topic anyway, so this particular scientist, now picture this, you guys. These scientists, they don't surf the internet. They don't hang out on the internet. They don't have followings, right? They are very entwined in what they do, very focused in what they do, and I believe their brains don't fire like your average member of society. That's why there's not that many of them in that department, right? Anyway, this one particular contact, colleague of Edgar, I know who these people are. He has been involved in this topic and much more for a long time, all right? And now what allegedly happened to him in Russia, and he said that quote, or I probably can't quote it, I perfectly right now because I'm not even awake yet, but did he not say that he was given the answers to basically every question a scientist could come up with when it comes to these beings? Now, some of the items that he learned made him go, why didn't I think of that? Other things he learned, he said that not too long ago he would have just laughed his face off at it and shook it off. And a bunch of the items absolutely blew him away. And he said, what he said would take over 400 plus pages to fully explain it all, right? So, what does your average person who comes across a bunch of knowledge and isn't an internet savvy person, what are they going to do with it? They're going to put it in a book, right? But anyway, and if he makes $10 million off of it, if he makes 50 cents off it, who cares? For a lot of people out there who possibly get upset about people making money in various ways, that's a lot of anger. That's a lot of people online you got to go after for making money. Right? They should probably maybe rethink those reactions. But when it comes to books, you guys, and the internet, if anything, I think possibly society would benefit from going back to books, because books cannot be canceled. Books cannot be taken away from a drop of a button from your eyes. Once a book is printed, it's out there. It's on a coffee table. It's amongst family members. It's brought to a school. It's in a library. And society has access to that book and those pages and that knowledge indefinitely, right? You can't delete that book and block it, right? That's pretty powerful. And I remember when I threw down that book and I was getting overwhelmed with how many people were emailing me and a lot of threats I was getting in the beginning, tons of threats. I'm like, hey, how can I get all this information out to everybody? Well, okay, we're going to get it all before I get deleted, because I'm going to get deleted offline. I'm going to get gonged off on the internet for sure. And threw down that book and got it out. And I shared everything word for word, including typos in that one. But anyway, and there will be another one coming for me too eventually. When I get around to it. There will be. With my puzzle in it too. And nobody's going to delete it. Nobody's going to block it. Nobody's going to prevent everything that I want to share with all of you from me. Nobody's going to prevent it, because I'm going to put it into a book so that you guys can throw it on coffee tables and spread it around the planet. Do whatever you want with it. Leave it in a library, leave it on a coffee shop counter, and it's going to get out there. And it's not going to be eliminated from the internet, from the controlling freaks. But anyway, that's a bit of a babble, wasn't it? Now, pretty peaceful out there. Not much is awake yet. So there you go. In the future, I would hope that if you may be one of those few people that are frustrated about this man, this scientist, possibly putting all his knowledge into a book, you might want to rethink your reaction, right? You might want to rethink your reaction to that. I want to think about it a little bit. There's a lot. So if you need to choose to be angry and frustrated today, there's probably some better topics to have that emotion, right? Towards. Now, let us get the people heard, shall we? Where am I? I'm going to mark this one as red. 192 megahertz knock at the door. Steve Cujo here. Hey, Cooch. This is our law enforcement officer, kick-ass dude, brave man, who emails us on various topics and gives us knowledge when it comes to law enforcement the odd time as well. Just a quick note to share. Something stupid I did, so don't judge me too hard, okay? I've been watching The Secret of Skinwalker Ranch. Some of that show is scripted, I think, but some of it is real. I have a feeling the government decides what they can and can't share. Anyway, more to the point. This has to do with the relationship of sound frequencies and paranormal phenomenon. The team there at the ranch has done everything from using lasers, rockets, amplified sound at different frequencies, things like that, to attempt to cause something to happen. It has worked in a few different ways. On one recent episode, they had a group of Native Americans perform a drumming and chanting ceremony while filming in ultraviolet. While this is going on, there were heat fluctuations on part of the mesa where the portal is supposed to be, and possible dark figures appearing that the Native Americans saw but the team couldn't find. They also caught a sphere UFO moving at Ivor, bit of a type of possible at Ivor, 3,000 miles per hour. Moving at over 3,000 miles per hour on a high-speed camera doing another experiment. Anyway, the scientists determined that the frequency of the drums and chanting was 192 MHz. Is that megahertz? I work graveyards at a residential protection detail. Plain clothes, armed gig. Long, usually boring hours with nothing to do but watch and walk. One night, about 2 weeks ago, I got an idea. I downloaded an app for my cell that plays tones on whatever range you want. I set it to 192 MHz. Turned the volume all the way up and waited. I don't spook easily, at all. But about 5 minutes into my little experiment, a fear came over me that I couldn't explain. Intense and deep. I didn't see, physically feel, or hear anything different. But the fear was real. No mind speak or anything like that either. But I felt as if I had the attention of someone or something that was now staring right at me from a wooded area across the street, and it was pissed off. The speaker of my phone was pointed at this area. I honestly didn't think anything was going to happen. Honestly, I was just bored. I was in front of the estate where I wouldn't disturb the client. I quickly turned it off almost as soon as I felt the fear and said out loud, "I'm sorry, I was just curious. I didn't mean to upset you. I'm a believer and I'm just working here and I was bored. I won't do it again." After I said that, the fear subsided for about a minute. No answer or anything. But it definitely felt like I was the little brother who knocks on the bedroom door of his big brother for 10 minutes only to have his big brother answer the door and yell, "What?" It may have been nothing more than me just scaring myself, but who knows. Anyway, I won't be doing that again anytime soon unless I have some backup. Hope you're well, Cujo. Okay, man. Well, you know what's going to happen now, right? Who knows how many people are going to view this email, and how many people are looking for that app right now. They're going to try it out, and who knows what's going to happen, what's going to come in the inbox now, right, man? That's interesting. Quick note. I have contact with a legitimate scientist who was at that place, that ranch, way before the reality TV show kicked in, and physically and firsthand saw a portal with 3 other scientists, I believe, and they saw a large hair-covered being emerge from that portal, hit the ground, run off into the timber. And these were the guys who were studying it. I don't know anything about the show. I've never watched that show. I haven't a clue what goes on there. I don't watch TV. We watch Netflix the odd time, but I don't watch television shows. I watched that Alone a little bit ago on Netflix. They put the show Alone on it. I watched it, but yeah, I'm not familiar with that show, man. But I am familiar with that ranch. I am familiar with direct contact with the scientist who was there, not involved in any TV show though, and that's what he saw. Crazy, right? Crazy. Thanks for sending it in, man. Be careful out there. Be safe out there at your job. Appreciate your time. This one's titled, Thank You. Steve, I'm just expressing my appreciation to you and Edgar about the information you recently shared. For me, it has completed my puzzle. I have experience in United States Air Force black projects. I was recruited without the ability to say no thank you. This is just a quick note to say thank you from the bottom of my heart. Please pass along my appreciation to Edgar. Take care. Joan Alaska. Share my name if you care to read this publicly. Okay, Joe Morris. There you go, Joe. Appreciate you, man. And you are very welcome. And send us anything you learn in the future, alright, man? Send it. Send it. Keep sharing with the people. This mask's hair is catching my arm. What's the title of this one? Central Missouri. Hey, Steve, my name is Mike Helton, and you can use that. I am a retired law enforcement officer, now in my late 60s, living in South Texas. I've been watching your show now for several years. I've been wanting to share my story with you, as I've only discussed this with my current wife and one of my law enforcement friends, and not until I was in my early 60s. I grew up on my parents' farm in rural central Missouri. Growing up, we hunted and fished all the time. I never had any strange experiences in the woods, probably because I always had a gun with me from about the age of 12. However, one summer night when I was about 10 years old, the whole family was asleep. It must have been about 1 o'clock in the morning, when something woke me up. We didn't have central air, so we slept with the windows open in the summertime. It was a full moon that night, and my bed was right next to the window, so the light was blasting through the window like a spotlight. I heard something walking outside my window. At first I thought it was probably just a cow that had gotten out, as this was a common occurrence. But as I got closer to my window, its shadow was gigantic. It covered the whole window and blocked out all of the moonlight. I can't explain it. I was frozen in fear. I couldn't move or shout or anything. My mom and dad were asleep in their room, and my dad always had about 10 guns in the house. But I couldn't speak. I can't explain it. This thing must have been about 10 feet tall because it covered the whole window. In comparison, if my dad was standing outside this window, he would only be about halfway up the window, and he was 5'11". This thing never made any sound except when I heard it walking. It was at my window for only about 2 minutes and then walked away. The longest 2 minutes of my life. I never saw it because I was too afraid to look. Until after I heard it walk away. Oh, sorry. Let me read that sentence again. I never saw it because I was too afraid to look until after I heard it walk away. Then I jumped up and looked out the window, but there was nothing. We always had 4 or 5 hunting dogs that would have attacked anyone or anything, but on this night, they didn't make a sound. I always wondered about that. The next morning I told my dad that I thought someone was outside my window last night. He went out and looked around but saw nothing. It's funny how things you don't understand, you just put them away. Well, I thought that was that until I was 14 years old. We lived a couple miles down a gravel road off the highway. I would catch a ride into town with mom or dad, and I'd spend the day playing pool or pinball machines. Usually I would catch a ride home before dark. But this one time I stayed a little bit late and it got dark. I caught a ride to the gravel road and started walking home. It was about 2 miles. About halfway home I heard someone walking on the gravel about 20 feet behind me. At first I thought it was just another cow that had gotten out. It was pitch black out. No moonlight on this night, and I didn't have a light. Our neighbors lived about a mile away in both directions. So, I would walk, it would walk. I would stop, it would stop. I did this several times, and I stopped and was trying to look and see what was there. Then all of a sudden it threw a rock in my direction. Not on me, but towards me. I stood there for a couple of minutes wondering what in the hell, and then it threw another rock towards me. I may be a little slow, but I turned and ran home so fast, I probably could have qualified for the Olympics. When I got home, I grabbed one of my dad's guns, a flashlight, and I got in the pickup and drove back down the road but saw nothing. On both these occurrences, I did not see these things. There was no bad smell. They did not make any sounds except when walking. On both these incidents, I'm sure these things could have caused me harm. Over the years, I've often thought about these incidents. Maybe they just want to let me know they are there, and everything is not what it seems. Back then, I had heard stories from other kids about Jim Harry, a wild man that lived in the woods in Missouri. Back then, no one knew anything about Bigfoot. I put these things away since I had no explanation for them until I was in my 60s. The only other thing that I saw that was strange was recently. 3 days in a row, there were small circular lights, each one about 4 inches around in diameter, moving around in my backyard. I've examined this from every angle and have no explanation. Thanks, Steve. Sorry for the long email. No apologies needed, man. Appreciate the share. It's funny, a lot of people that are coming here and sharing stuff from their childhood that they put away. And then somehow they come across this channel or somebody's email or somebody's video, and it knee-jerks it all to come back, spilling back out. That's interesting, right? That happens with a lot of people with a lot of different topics, doesn't it? It's usually pretty traumatizing stuff, like abuse. A lot of childhood abuse gets put away and then comes out later in life. How about abductions? I think abductions, same thing. I think they've had the same effect, I believe. Don't quote me on that. South Texas. I don't know how people live in South Texas. Oh my God, it's hot there. How do you do it? Man, I was down there one time in April and it was like 90 degrees at 10 o'clock at night. I was dying. I was like, I don't know how people live down there in that heat. Don't get it. It's a cool place though. I love Texas. I love Texas. Who's next? Pissed I'm not getting read. LOL. Said everybody. Not really. Oh. And he says, no, really. I feel you and David P. decided my story was too much, like someone else's, because you'd mentioned something to that effect shortly after I sent it. My wife, who passed away February 14th, 2023, was very offended. I just blew it off. Just before she passed, she told me to resend it. Well, here it goes. Okay, hold on a minute. First off, I'm very sorry to hear about your wife passing. I hope she's resting in peace. Secondly, me and Dave don't team up on anything when it comes to emails, and I don't pre-read anything at all. So you're a little bit offside there. And in the past, I've had a good handful of people. I'm going to keep reading this email, but I got to share this with you guys because when I read something like that, my alarm starts slowly going off a little bit. Because in the past, both Dave and I had a stalker. somebody's seriously missing a few marbles. And this person was freaking out because he even said, quote, "You guys ruined my life. I thought I was a part of a team. I thought I was this. I thought I was that. And here you are doing this and this and that. And this is what you've done to me." And when I was reading this email, it's like, what the hell is wrong with this person? And then the person went on to making fake profiles on YouTube to throw down disparaging, angry, lashing out comments in the comment section. It was really bizarre to watch, and then sending nasty emails one after the other as if I was engaged in some kind of a war with this person. I mean, meanwhile, I'm just reading emails and reading his emails going, huh? What's going on today? It was really creepy. But anyway, I hope this isn't going to be one of those. Because no, we don't read emails. I do not read emails and then comment on them in a negative way on a video, shunning the person who sent me. It just doesn't happen here, okay? Let's see what else we got here. Sorry for a little interruption, but I almost was not going to read this. Well, here it goes. Somehow I feel you won't read it anyways. I'll still listen. I respect you and your journey. This is the long one, so settle in, folks. It was 1978-ish. I was packing a 357 mag. Dad had a 44 mag. Stuffy or Bear 45. Stuffy or Bear. That must be a relative. Believe Grizzly Win mag. Anyways, this is before he bought a cabin, then built a beautiful home on the Kenai River. Alright, so we're in Alaska. We fished the Kenai and Russian River confluences. A huge eddy came together, making late summer fishing amazing. One week into our camping in a tent on the Kenai, we watched the big-ass browns swooping spawned out reds, belly eating and throwing them aside. So that'll be brown bears. I saw a huge creature amongst the multiple bears feasting on the river. It was enormous. The fear of brown bears didn't come close to the fear I got from that thing. I could barely see him at the point of the eddy, but noticed the bears moved away from it. I felt such fear, yelling to my father and brother Barry. After trying to vocalize for what seemed like forever, I ran as hard as I could to his truck, not camp, dove in the back of it. At 13 and having grown up on a farm, I'd never felt fear like that. The stench could be detected all the way across the river. But Stuffy and my dad barely made out the Sasquatch. They teased me for a while, but soon realized what they'd saw. Mind you, we were in tents, with fish hanging in trees. I caught what may have been a record Dolly Varden that year, but lost it to a bear. It was nailed on a tree. Okay, sorry so long, but that's my story. This is only the third time sharing, once with my wife and twice with you. My details are weak as I'm almost 60 now, but I know what the F I saw. Thanks for your hard work. God bless you, Sarah Rubin Livestock. God bless you too, man. Thanks for the share. I'm glad we got to share it for you. I know it's frustrating for a lot of people out there that send in their emails and they don't get read and they think there's some kind of conspiracy against them. But there's not, believe me. I don't know how many emails. I don't know how many I've received. Over 20,000? For real. That's the number, okay, guys? But like I said, I'll get them all shared. And I will. Now, nobody's going to stop me. It's going to take a little bit. Alright, what's this one? It's titled Being Watched. Hi Steve, love your channel. It's refreshing to hear your stories and your opinions without the BS. Never had a Sasquatch encounter, but I did have an unnerving incident about 20 years ago. This took place on a private estate on Maryland's eastern shore. One of the neighbors had a non-working farm/estate that is approximately 300 acres in size, half of which was tilled at one time. It's a peninsula that is a branch of a river that runs up both sides. The farm is approximately a half mile wide, heavily wooded, on the edges near the water fields. Okay, typo. Near the water. Fields run through the middle of the property. The owner had approached me one day and asked if I had any spare time to help him mow the grass fields, which were under some government program and had to be mowed twice a year. I told him I'd help him out with that. This farm was a whitetail paradise. They didn't allow any hunting. No matter. My father-in-law was a caretaker on another farm and had the hunting rights on that one. He didn't hunt, so I had the whole 1,200 acres to myself. Anyway, to get back to the original farm and the story, one morning I headed out with the tractor and was mowing one of the fields, and was going along the edge of the woods and decided to stop for a bit and just take a walk through the woods down to the water. I walked about 100 yards through the woods. Hardly any underbrush, so you could see pretty good. I came upon a grassy area in the woods that continued to a wide sandy beach at the river. Thought to myself, this would be a nice spot to build a house. Just then, I felt like I was being watched. I shrugged it off, but the feeling grew in intensity to the point I started looking behind me. And it's getting to the point that it felt like I was going to get grabbed from behind. I started back heading for the tractor, and this feeling was so intense I wanted to run, but I did not. I got back on the tractor finally and still felt like I was being watched the whole time I mowed that field. I don't know what the hell that was, but it scared the shit out of me. Never had an incident or anything weird happen on the 1,200 acres. I hunted, and I hunted it for years. I have to think about that day and just can't figure it out. So, anyway, you're always talking how the truth will come out someday about Sasquatch, Sabe, Bigfoot. The government already knows the truth and will never admit it. Not hard to figure out. If the government acknowledged their existence, they would have to list them on the endangered species. That would be the end of the logging industry in the U.S. Yeah, debatable. Thanks for that email, man. And I understand the fear is so intense. People that don't experience it can't understand it, how the impact it must have, right? And we've heard from many people who have gone out of their way to write about the experience of that fear. That's how big of an impact that fear is. It's something else, right? I think it's very hard for people to put people there and get those feelings across, but it's substantial, very substantial. I mean, think about the amount of fear it would take for you to never ever forget it, always think about it, and then want to share it online on a channel like this. Now, I'm getting back to how the government did denial. If the truth ever came out, the truth is out. The truth is out. And I've said this in the past, and this isn't just for use for everyone. The truth is out. And we have to hopefully encourage the members of our community, the people, to quit looking at that group of people over there who's called the government and stop thinking you need anything from them. It couldn't be further from the truth. It's actually the other way around. They need everything from us. Without us, they're nothing. And they do not have, there's nothing there for us. They are not in a position where they control. They shouldn't be in a position, you shouldn't allow them to be in a position where they can control what you accept as legitimate or not, first off, in this planet. All of your true information is going to come from the people and nowhere else. Your own eyes, your own ears, your own first-hand experiences, and the people. That is where the knowledge comes from. Nowhere else. Okay? I stress that. Nowhere else. There's no group of individuals out there who can control what is accepted or is not accepted. Okay? That's a very, very big cluster F of how we have been directed and educated in a way in the education system. Is that how is that where it originally got imprinted into us? I don't know. But it's time we stopped looking at one individual at the front of that classroom asking for all the answers when it comes to real life. And it's also way beyond time you turned around your thought process of holding a group, any group, and you feel for some strange reason you need to look to them for acknowledgement on anything. That is so wrong. Perfect for them, but absolutely wrong for us and for true information, true knowledge on any topic, okay? The truth is out. The evidence is out. It's from us, the people, and here is one of numerous places where we're sharing that truth and that factual knowledge, okay? So, and your statement, a lot of people feel that, well, if the government acknowledged it, the logging industry would be shut down. This topic has nothing to do with the logging industry being shut down. My mouth and my brain, right? Remember? Doesn't measure up that smooth. These beings are in no relation to what could be described as an endangered species to what we know, like the snowy, the spotted owl, or what some people think grizzly bears are endangered, or wolves, or whatever. It's not the case. That is further from the truth at this point of the game. This point of the game, the fact that this is not publicly pushed information is because it destroys. It absolutely destroys everything we've been taught. That's why it's not being acknowledged. Also, these people live successfully, independent, and do whatever the F they want. Period. That's a huge reason why the people who want to control you and your thoughts, your actions, that is a huge reason why they do not want us to acknowledge, why they do not want this information acknowledged publicly, mainstream, pushed through us in school. That'll never happen. Not much truth actually gets pushed through us in school. Can't even bite my lip right there. Starting to babble. You're picking up what I'm putting down, everybody, I'm quite sure. There you go. I'm gonna bite my lip. I just chopped myself up. The big hook came out on the stage and pulled me off. Let's get back to more voices, shall we? Here's an alarming title. 6-year-old tormented by Dogman. May 18th, 2023. Dear Steve. First, let me thank you for sharing these emails from the people. It is important work. So many people from so many areas, backgrounds, ethnicities, and religions. These experiences are common to all walks of life. No one is exempt. Hear, hear. Absolutely agree on that one. You can use my name. I don't care what people think about me. My name is Chris Mitchell, and I live in Nashville, Tennessee, where I am a professional musician and music producer. I wrote my first little piano piece in the 5th grade, never stopped. I'm truly blessed to love what I do. I love hearing that. I love hearing about people being passionate about something when they're a little child and going for it their whole life and mastering it. Love it. Here we go. I have always been hypersensitive to the paranormal, particularly being able to sense. I have no tracking, hunting, or any other skills one would need to avoid a predator. I wouldn't know a game trail if I fell on one. There are virtually no bears or cougars left in central and northeastern Ohio, so getting eaten on a hike was not even taken into consideration. So, like so many dummies on well-traveled trails, I developed a false sense of safety in my surroundings. Back to the night terrors. I had this nightmare every night for about a year. As I fell asleep, I would see the legs and feet of a dogman trudging through the snow across local farmland. Once I realized that it was coming for me, I would wake up, paralyzed by an unseen force pinning me down, unable to move or cry for help. There were times I awoke from the dream horrified but not paralyzed. Each night the dogman would get closer to our house and I would again wake up tormented by an unseen force. In the final nightmare, the dogman entered our home through my 2nd-story bedroom window, threw me from my bed and pinned me on the floor. I could feel its breath against my face. There was no smell that I remember, just hot breath. It looked into my eyes with malice and said, "I'm going to kill you now." Once again, I awoke paralyzed and unable to move or scream. That would be my last night of terror involving the dogman. Fast forward a decade and a half. It was 1992. I was 22 years old and lived in Dixon, Tennessee, small town 45 minutes west of Nashville. I should say now that Dixon and the neighboring town of Kingston Springs are home to Montgomery Bell State Park, and many dogman or wolfman sightings and encounters have been reported over many decades. It's rural and heavily forested. We lived near the end of a dirt road in an A-frame house with a huge yard and dense woods surrounding it. I worked nearly an hour away in downtown Nashville at a popular restaurant. Every night after closing, I rode my motorcycle west on Highway 70 home to Dixon. The last 5 miles of the journey were all back roads through farmland and in and out of forested areas. I was never afraid of anything out there. It was always beautiful and peaceful. Then it happened. One night, as I pulled into the long driveway and rode toward the back of the house, I felt immediately that something was wrong. My headlight was shining on the woods as I turned off the bike. I noticed immediately how quiet it was. Not a bird, not a cricket, no dogs. There was no moon, and it was dark, and I mean really dark. It seemed like the woods were eating up all the light from my headlamp. Then every hair on my body stood straight up, and I was paralyzed by the same fear that I had known during my episodes of sleep paralysis. Unbelievable horror. Something was in the woods, just beyond the light watching me. My eyes locked in the woods. I strained to see what was in the darkness, but I saw nothing. I could not take my hands off the handlebars. After an unbearable amount of time, I was able to get off the motorcycle and sprint for the door to the garage. I struggled and fumbled trying to get the key into the lock. Finally, I got the deadbolt unlocked and pushed inside, shutting and relocking the door behind me. I started to panic and hyperventilate. I fully expected something to start beating on the door, but nothing happened. I quickly unlocked the door from the garage in the main house and went inside, putting more space between myself and whatever was behind me. I continued to watch through the windows, but saw nothing. Was it a Sasquatch or a Dogman? I'm leaning towards the latter. I did not live in that house much longer and moved back to Nashville. Fast forward 2015, I was going on a night jog at Edwin Warner State Park in Nashville, Tennessee. As an avid trail runner, I knew the trails and paved loops like the back of my hand. Every rock, every log that lay over a path, I was not afraid to be there after dark. On this night, I got about 300 yards out on the paved loop that runs around the park and froze. Again, I had the feeling of being watched. Then mind speak. Something/someone entered my head and said, "Do not take another step forward, you're in danger." I asked no questions, did an about face, and returned to the car. I wondered what would have happened had I continued onward, ignoring this warning. I'm glad I didn't. I'm now 55, and the night terrors and sleep paralysis are many years in the rearview mirror. I went to a healer, a psychic shaman, who explained to me the power that we all possess over the demonic types of entities and how to shut them down permanently. They desire physical form. They covet it above all things, but they cannot take it from us if we choose to not recognize or be bothered with them. They must be permitted or invited to dwell within us. The scare tactics they use are to make us weak so they can hitch a ride. Every once in a while I'll hear mind speak trying to frighten me, but then I shut it down completely unless it is positive and looking out for my best interest. These entities have no more power over me plain. Sounds like a private jet going overhead. I don't know why, we get a lot of private jets fly right over here sometimes. Weird. It's a loud one. These entities have no more power over me than a tissue paper, which I can toss away at any time. I wish it were so of a Sasquatch or a Dogman. I don't know if I ever want to meet a Sasquatch face to face. I have a healthy fear of anything that can rip my arms and legs off with its bare hands. I have a feeling I may already be tagged, and the choice to meet will not be mine if it happens. Apparently I'm not hard to notice physically anyway. Psychically? Oh, sorry, psychically anyway. Sorry, you guys. Apparently I'm not hard to notice psychically anyway. I never want to meet or hear a Dogman. A question for you. What is the difference between the Sasquatch with red eye shine and not? Some of the testimonies have led me to believe that those with red eyes shine are dangerous and mean us harm. Is this correct? We have been told that in the past by some First Nations people I refer to. Definitely been told that. We've been told that from people all around the planet, actually. And it's the red eyes. And what other thing, too, though, is in our mainstream cartoons, movies, whatever, monster books, the monsters always have red eyes. The bad guys always had red eyes. Where'd they get that detail from? How come the bad guys never had yellow eyes? Turquoise. Why red? Right? So, apparently, the red eyes is a red flag, is the rumor on the street. I have many other experiences with the paranormal that someday I will share in the appropriate forum. I chose to share this part of my life with you because of your openness and non-judgmental character. How can I say for sure what spoke to me that night, or what was going to happen if I didn't listen to it? I don't know what it was in the woods that night so long ago, but it scared me straight onto a path towards learning, enlightenment, and healing through the actions of and sharing with others like yourself. I needed answers, and they are coming. I hope my story can help somebody get free of torment. I will say in closing that I no longer look at the negative entities as demons. They just are. Without the scary Catholic imagery, they are just sad things that exist. Outside of desiring a physical body to wreak havoc with, how can I really know what their intentions are? They are not human, and their reasons for doing what they do are not a part of human understanding, and frankly, they don't matter. Their reasons don't matter. I found for myself it is much more important and rewarding to disarm them and focus on loving my neighbor as I love myself. That's a damn good move. Here and now, higher consciousness is available and achievable. We can offer our fellow man and the Sasquatch people unconditional love. We can heal ourselves and others if we choose to take responsibility for our own actions. We can stop worrying about what others think or believe and focus on being kind to them. We are healed by giving. I must find ways to give unselfishly and to nurture and care for those around me. It can be hard to love, but the rewards far outweigh the alternative. Remember, brother, that it is never for nothing when we love with no return. You've done a great thing by ignoring the possible repercussions of sharing the truth and doing it anyway. As you continue your mission, power will continue to be taken away from those who would silence and control us in the name of greed and fear. Thank you for all you do. May our eyes continue to be open. Chris Mitchell. P.S. I really enjoy the film footage of all the beautiful places that you travel to and all the wildlife that lives there. Thank you for sharing and letting us city folks live vicariously through your adventures. I don't know if I'll ever get to visit these pristine and untouched destinations myself. You're welcome. I enjoy sharing everything I got with everybody, especially the nature and all the places I go. And I realize the majority of the people here don't get to see what I get to see, so that's my big motivation for me. I appreciate that email. Like I said, there's going to be a lot of people that shake their head. A lot of people possibly going to be shaking in agreement. And there's going to be a handful of people having the same experiences, right? Your email isn't a new one. Everything you shared, that's not new here. There's a pattern there. A lot of people don't want it to be a pattern, but there's no way out of it. It's interesting how many of us are in tune with these skills, right? There's a lot. Why not all of us, I wonder? Or maybe all of us are, and maybe the majority of us were successfully what we call dumbed down. It's looking that way, isn't it? It's looking that way. Who else? What's this one? Mark, this is red. Okay. Wyandotte County Lake. Of course I probably butchered it. Wyandotte? Wyandotte. W-Y-A-N-D-O-T-T-E County Lake. Hello, Steve. You read a story of mine probably 4 years ago. Happened at an old copper mine. Here where I live in Red Feather Lakes, Colorado. I'll try to keep this short. My experience is going to be different, Steve. I started to watch you on YouTube when it was just about your hunting stories. When the Bigfoot stuff started, I was drawn to it. My experience didn't start with an encounter, so to speak. I have noticed things in my life for some time now. For instance, when I lived with my wife in Thornton, Colorado, my fiance and I were out in the garage talking one night. I had a business restoring old cars. She asked me how things were going at the shop and if I needed anything I didn't have. I jokingly responded, I could use another magnetic dish for nuts and bolts. We stayed in the garage for a while longer and then went to bed. I woke in the morning, made my coffee, went out on the front porch to have a smoke, and there on the bench on the front porch was a brand new magnetic dish. I still have it today, 15 years later. That's a weird one. More recently, I came home one day, where I now live in the mountains, and there was a sweater layer laying out on my bed that I had never seen before. I live by myself in the Colorado Rockies at 8,400 feet in elevation, so no neighbors, Steve. A few weeks later, I came home. My 45 ACP has been taken out of the place I keep it. It was on the bed where the sweater was. The magazine was removed and laying next to it, along with the round that was in the chamber. Nothing else in the house was disturbed or missing either time. This is getting bizarre. These are just a few instances I have. So, a while back, I hear a video on your channel about an experience at Wyandotte County Lake in Kansas City, Kansas. Well, shit. I used to live by there. And as a matter of fact, my Boy Scout camp, Camp Nash, is right down the road from Wyandotte County Lake. So, Steve, when I transitioned from Cub Scouts to Boy Scouts, they had this thing called Order of the Arrow. So what this involved, and we were given time to prepare, all the scouts were assembled at the main fire for the ceremony. Bonfire raging, Indian-type drums beating. Some of the older scouts dressed as Indian warriors would go and select the scouts for Order of the Arrow. There, they would pull you out of your seat, blindfold you, and stand you with the rest of the new scouts. When this was over, we were taken out somewhere on the outskirts of Camp Nash, given our sleeping bags and told to sleep right there and not to move and to wait to remove our blindfolds. It was probably 11 at night by now. I was 12 when this happened, and for the life of me, Steve, and I cannot remember one thing about that night, not one effing detail. I can't shake the feeling that it's all connected, Steve. The video I saw about the Wyandotte County Lake, the guy said he thought the Kansas River, a quarter mile away, was a travel corridor for these beings. Do you remember that story, Steve? He said a cop showed up and got scared by a roar that came from a tree line. I'd sure like to talk to that guy. I wonder if any of the other scouts from Camp Nash have any weird shit going on in their lives. Why are these kids left out like that in this place if this shit keeps happening? Great question. About 7 years ago, I got a dog. His name was Trooper, a 90-pound blue tick coon hound that isn't scared of anything. Nothing strange happens in the house now. I was going to suggest getting a dog. Last year, I had a cushion from one of the chairs on my deck come up missing. Black and white, striped. You could see it from an airplane if you wanted to. Gone. Just missing. I came home 3 weeks ago. The cushion is sitting at the entrance of the driveway at the adjoining vacant property. Like it was placed there so I couldn't miss it. Almost 9 months after it went missing. I've suffered with addiction issues through my life, been to prison a couple times. Now I'm a Christian. I'm also a certified rescue mission chaplain. I have the equivalent of a master's in theology. That was a journey of searching for the ultimate truth in life, Steve. Now I know God is real. In my ministry works, I've met people with demons, heard the demons talk to me. There's much we cannot see in this life, not with our physical eyes anyway. You see, Steve, my experience is different. I experienced it for years without even knowing. Sure, I kind of knew something was different. To me, it was just life. Now I have seen so much, nothing scares me. I am the first to speak up and call out bullshit when I see it. And that happens a lot. Try to tell people the truth about the virus, our government, and all the effing lies. People don't see it, Steve. Some say most people are asleep. F that. We sleep when we die, brother. I've hunted these mountains for years, walked all over them with my bow, and now my 300 Weatherby mag. Seen and heard lots of bizarre stuff. I've heard elk make some of the most bizarre noise I've ever heard. I used to live by an ostrich farm. Boy, do those things make some strange noises. I sometimes wonder about the stories I hear on your channel. The house we live in now, we bought in '98, a small place, 960 square feet. When the realtor showed it to us, there was the strangest thing. In the small bedroom were bunk beds. Steve, the bunk beds had plywood screwed to the sides. It had a door that hinged to the inside and clasp so you could lock yourself in there. That's creepy as shit. The realtor, the mom that lived here, worked at the nearby restaurant and didn't get home until late at night. Her little girl, 6 years old at the time, was terrified of, quote, what could only be a bear, end quote. So the mom had her bunk bed fortified. Could you imagine that? A bear my ass. Yeah, I can't even wrap my mind around that. Fortifying your 6-year-old's bunk so they'd be safer when you left her alone. Said nobody ever. Alright, carrying on. About 100 feet from my deck is an old teepee structure made of broken branches. Last year, noticed a small tree next to the structure, about 7 foot tall lodge pole. Something had taken the very top of the tree, bent it over, and wedged it into a branch on another tree about 5 feet away, so it blocks the entrance of the teepee structure. So I put a game camera on the structure. I came back and checked the camera. 62 images that were complete whiteout. You couldn't make out any detail. One more and I'll go. About 7 years ago, I took off from work, archery season, to 4th rifle, to just go hunt and be in the woods. Un-effing believable time, Steve. Out for 4 full moons. Say that 10 times in a row. Out for 4 full moons. Best experience of my life. I didn't want to stop. So I bomb into this place called Bull Mountain, and specifically Laramie Overlook. I'm in my old Chevy. The 2-track is so overgrown that branches are scraping both sides of the truck. Story of my life. I get to the end about an hour before dark, set up camp, get a fire going. Beautiful, just beautiful. I can hear elk bugling. I can see the lights from Laramie, Wyoming in the distance. It's not dark, and all of a sudden, this overwhelming wave of fear. What do? Throw more wood on the fire and put on some water for coffee. Fear is still, but now more intense. Sitting there drinking my coffee and something starts throwing shit. So I yell at the forest, F you, I ain't leaving. And I go lay down in my Chevy, I lock the doors and sleep with my .45 on my chest. Camp there 3 more nights, no issues. Haven't been back there though. We are not alone in this world, Steve, and that is for sure. That is for absolute sure. And we are not alone. Appreciate that share, man. Appreciate the share. And I don't know why we send our children off to those camps where stuff goes down and nobody shares the truth about what they experienced there previously before the other kids got there. I don't get it. Not anymore though, right? Not anymore. Alright, I'm going to get one more out here and then get on with my day. The adventure dog just came in and plucked herself from the floor. That's her clunker tail. Hey, Bones. That's her 10-pound tail hitting the floor. Okay, listen to this. This is titled Ilaho Valley. Now, I have taken all of you up the Ilaho Valley numerous times when I was living on the mainland, upriver from Squamish, British Columbia, and made videos up there. Hey Steve, I recently came across your videos on YouTube and absolutely love what you are doing. The fact that you have taken it upon yourself to get this, what could be described as seemingly skeptical content from the typical non-believer's point of view, and share it without bias or prejudgment is truly amazing. Every story shared to this continuously growing community of believers only strengthens the true facts that so many don't know. Anyways, back to the point of this. What info do you have about encounters or sightings in the Elo Valley area? Lots. Tons. Tons. A few years back, myself and a group of friends were camping at a popular spot up the valley at the 43-mile marker. It's typically known for large, rowdy groups, loud music, lots of firearms being discharged at all hours of the night, day/night, and huge bonfires. Been there. It was 2 weeks before May Long Weekend 2016. We were fortunate to be the only ones there. We had the entire area to ourselves, very uncommon. A quick description of the area would be: the tight single-track road leading into the beach is lined with trees on both sides. As you get closer to the beach, the area opens up on your right-hand side with a large sand berm leading down to the large beach below, and brush and tall trees to your left. We set up our site down below the berm with our fire and kitchen area down in the flats closer to the river. As the night started to settle in, it was only the light from our fire that lit up the area. Past the glow of the flames, everything else was dark. We started hearing strange grunts and snorts just beyond the glow of the fire. It sounded like deep, heavy bass, followed by quick, loud snarls similar to what an angry dog would make, but much louder and deeper. This went on for probably 30 or 40 minutes. Everyone heard it, but nobody had the balls to move or say anything. What? You mean everybody just sat there frozen and didn't say shit? Like they didn't say nothing? Like, what's that? Or go look, get a flashlight, get a gun, like nobody said nothing? I made the decision to sleep in the bed of my truck with the canopy locked rather than sleep in my tent that night. No effing way I was going to sleep in a tent with whatever was making that noise around. In the morning when I woke up, the first thing I did was to walk around the area to see if I could find anything. I didn't have to take more than 15 paces to get up to the top of the berm when I saw tracks that traced back and forth along the backside of the berm with a print of a large torso laying down in the sand and large hand prints as if someone or something was laying on their chest looking over the berm down towards us. That's creepy. As of today, I never stopped camping at that spot and still return each summer. The only difference now is I don't bring a tent. I always sleep in my truck. I always carry a loaded 45-70. Cheers, Christian. Wow, still go back, huh? Well, you know you know as well as I do how many people go up there, right? It's a shit pile. And that's another big reason why I never really hunted up that valley. You know, when you get back to my blacktail deer hunting, and a lot of people would email me and ask me about the Elo, or right there at Squamish, I didn't really go up there too much just because of the fact there's so many people went up there. But it's very remote once you leave. You consider remote once you get past that power station, right? That bridge. And when you get past that power station, you take a few of those little cutoff roads to the left right there, that gets into a little bit of a creepy spot. I took everybody there one evening and made a video back in there in the wintertime when it's getting dark. But once you get up there to where you are, well, anywhere, it doesn't matter. I mean, there was a friend of mine knows a woman who had a Sasquatch paralleling her car on the paved part of that road, on the pavement, and then ran past her car and passed her right there. So they are all over the place around there. These beings, these people, they go through, they appear there. They just are. They always have been. Elo is where I was working and discussing doing something about the frickin' wolf explosion that was going on up there, annihilating everything. And I was doing it with the chief at the time of the band. And he wanted us to start a bait pile so we could start cleaning up some of the wolves. And I had a farmer donate this frickin', I don't know, you need a forklift to get this hog in the truck. I've shared this story before. I don't even know how much it must have weighed. It had to have been at least 600 pounds, I'm guessing. 600 plus? The thing was absolutely huge. And we took it up there, not too far from there. Went up on the right-hand side, up some switchbacks, and I had to get a tow. Strap, and I locked it around his back legs, and then I backed my truck out on a switchback, backed my truck out to the edge where I was going to drop it down off the edge of that switchback, and there was about 3-inch, 2-inch small pines thick growing all around there, maybe even bigger, 6-inch alder. Yeah, about 6-inch alder. So I remember strapping the strap around an alder over the bank, and then I took the other loop end, I looped that onto the ball hitch of my truck, right? So when I drove away, it pulled the hog out of my truck, dropped it down the bank. And then I went and retrieved the tow strap. Excuse me. And then a friend of mine who lived in Squamish went there a week later just to see if it had been hit yet, what kind of traffic was going on. It was gone. Gonzo. Gone. Over 600-pound dead hog picked up on that slope in that timber, taken away. No drag marks on the road. You would have had to have got a tow truck and a winch, or a Sears truck with a winch, and then a high-ab or a forklift to get into your truck, unless you chopped it up. Either way, if humans retrieved that hog from over that bank, it would have been a mess from hell trying to get it out of there. Anyway, that summer, and we're talking winter, right? That summer, another friend of mine who used to manage Rona in Squamish, he moved away. Hunter. He's a hunter as well. I guess there's a mountain bike trail not too far away from there. You know, there's mountain bike trails frickin' everywhere in that country, and that's another reason I don't really go up there hunting. But anyway, all of a sudden he posts on social media the skull of a hog, a boar, and he goes, "Wild boar in the upper Squamish?" And I right away I text him, I'm like, "Dude, where did you find that?" And he told me the name of the creek, and I'm not familiar with the name of the creek. And then I Googled it. Sure enough, the creek was very close to where we threw that chunk of meat out of the truck. And the skull was completely cleaned off. But where he found the skull was about 2 miles away. What? Right? 2 miles away. And let's just say a natural predator did annihilate that carcass down there, which I have so much experience in that department, it's not even funny. What they do is I've shared with you guys before, grizzly bear, if it's not in thick bush, it'll drag it until it is in thick bush. If there isn't enough thick bush, it'll just bury it in dirt and lay on it. But they'll bury it anyway. So a grizzly bear will bury it, and there'll be one hell of a mess where he drug up all that dirt and covered the carcass, and he'll dig it up and feed on it until it's gone, and all the bones will remain there. Wolves shred the shit out of it. There'll be parts scattered all over the place, and they eat the skeletal remains, except for the skulls. They eat the face off the skulls of most animals. But it'll be a mess. It'll be shit everywhere. Wild dog, same thing, shredded. Cougar, a cat, will typically eat the liver, the heart out of there, lick the blood clean, eat most of the carcass, some of it, and they'll bury it as best they can with little kitty paws, right? But they don't really do that good of a job. It's usually stuffed under bushes with random sticks and branches laid on top. Black bear. Black bear will eat it. Typically they are on the lower, the black bear is on the lower level of the predator, kick-ass predator ladder. Basically almost everything pushes black bears around, so they'll just eat what they can and get out of there. But I have seen black bear cover an old carcass of mine. I watched a black bear, a brown one, and a red one, and he stripped a bunch of branches off small Christmas trees and drug them over there and tried to put it on top of the carcass to try to cover it up for himself. But there you go. That was a bit of a babble, but natural predators do not pack the skulls 2 miles. They don't. Never. So there you go. Just want a little more of my first-hand experience with Eelhoe, and I've got one more actually at the same time. My friend was running a huge job site in Squamish, talking to some drywallers about what was going on with the hog. These guys were hunters, and these guys made a bait pile way up there at the confluence, okay? They made a bait pile way up there at the confluence on a big gravel bar in the snow. They left trail cameras there. They had a 450-pound beef calf that laid there as well. Something took it. Gone. No tracks, no nothing, nothing on the trail cameras. What's up with that? So there you go. There's lots going on up there. I'm surprised you haven't had more experiences. You probably have more coming. But ask around. Ask around people you know that spend time up there, that camp overnight, hunt, whatever. And ask around, and you're going to hear a pile of experiences are going to come forward. Guaranteed. Anyway, on my day. Hope everybody's having a great day. Choose the good over the dark. Figure out which one you're feeding, right? Choose the good. Come on.